Transactional analysis, script messages, and the script matrix. In the book TA Today, Stewart and Joines state, "You know that the life script consists of a set of decisions. These are made by the child in response to script messages about self, others, and the world. The script messages come mainly from the child's parents. According to the authors, these messages are formed from the child's response to what is going on around her. And it must be noted that these don't always reflect the world as it really is. This concept is similar to neurolinguistic programming's philosophy of the map not being the territory it depicts. However, this map forms the basis for how one navigates the trails of life, regardless of how accurate it is or not." According to Stewart and Joines, script messages can either be verbal or nonverbal, or a combination of both. And infants can decode nonverbal cues just as easily as an older child can decode language to understand these script messages to develop his or her life position, which we talked about in an earlier video. For example, an infant can understand that it is loved by the amount of affection and care of the mother, every bit as well as understanding the words "I love you" by an older child. Stewart and Joines give the example of a school child coming home with a reading book. Coming across an unknown word, the child stumbles over it. The father might speak in a harsh tone, curling his lip to correct her. The child might interpret his nonverbal as "I don't want you around." The father also might use a flat tone of voice, not looking up from his newspaper. The child might interpret that as "You're not important to me." The father might say the words in an even voice, sitting beside her, giving her a chance to read the word again. In such a case, the girl might interpret this as "It's okay for you to think." In this case, the father communicated non-verbally "I'm okay" and "you're okay" of the life positions we learned about in the previous video. Stewart and Joines go on to talk about modeling, because much of the child's script comes from modeling parents first. Oftentimes, if the child is stroke deprived, the child will turn to peers to get the strokes it couldn't get from parents. Although scripting is not limited to parents, the parents play the primary role. The authors give an example of a little boy whose brother died. Every week the parents go to the cemetery to lay flowers. To the other two alive children, it can be interpreted that the parents care more for the deceased child than the ones who are living. These children could develop the script that they would be loved more if they were dead. Of course, this is not what the parents are really trying to communicate, but we must keep in mind that children may not analyze the situation from an adult ego state and thus form a script that doesn't match reality. And once again, the map is not the territory. Now we're going to go over verbal agents of script formation. Script messages are often communicated verbally in the form of commands or attribution. Some examples of commands are "Do what you're told," "Hurry up," "Don't be naughty." The authors state that script formation takes place in a large part due to the nonverbal communication that goes along with them. They make another key point that the child may be told not just what he should do, but what he is. And these are attributions. Like, "You're stupid," "You can't do anything right," or "You're good at math," which is a positive attribution. Attributions, of course, can be positive or negative. Like commands, nonverbal cues, or how something is said, play a large role in how the child's script is formed. Because the parent determines reality for the child, so to speak, indirect attributions also play a large role in script formation. This is when they, the parents, speak about the child in the third person to other people. "Johnny is a quiet boy." "Johnny is not so good at math." "Johnny probably won't set any records on the baseball field." Stewart and Joines state that the child hearing these commands and attributions repetitively are the main reason for the child's script formation. That is not to say that a child can't make a script decision based upon a traumatic event, such as abuse. If a girl, or boy for that matter, is abused by her father, she may make the generalization that all men are evil and cannot be trusted. But she can also make this generalization based upon a constant barrage of negative verbal and nonverbal cues from the same father just as easily. The script matrix. The script matrix Claude Steiner developed deals with the interaction of the parents, parent, adult, and child ego states with those of the child. In other words, the child inherits the parent, adult, and child ego states to some degree. The messages that come from the mother and father's parent ego state are called counter injunctions. The modeling or here's how to messages from the parent's adult ego state are known as the program. The message sent from the parent's child ego states are divided into two types, injunctions and permissions. We will briefly explore what these all mean. According to Stewart and Joines, the counter injunctions of the parent's parent ego state consist of commands about what to do or what not to do, plus definitions of people in the world. For example, be good, don't be naughty, work hard, etc. And like I said earlier, these counter injunctions form the basis of how the child should operate in the world. These, to the degree they are accepted, allow the child to operate in the world without having to think about what he or she should do in a given situation. However, as in the case of work hard, this type of injunction can be used for good or for ill. A child who lives by this injunction can overdo it to the point of losing crucial relationships or his or her health when grown up. The program from the parent's adult ego states consists of messages about how to do things. And you can differentiate counter injunctions from programs easily. Counter injunctions give the what to do. Programs give the how to do it. Examples of programs given in the book are count to 10, make porridge, tie your shoes, be a man or woman, be cute. The authors state that the most programs operate in a positive way but can also be used in a negative manner. For example, a boy may learn how to work hard from his father and overstress himself and die young. A girl may learn how to repress her feelings and end up depressed. Finally, we come to injunctions and permissions. And these are inherited from the parent's child ego states as stated above. Stewart and Joines show that in the case of a mother and a child, the mother can operate in any one of her ego states. For example, from her parent ego state inherited from her parents, she can state the rule that children need to be nurtured and protected. From her adult ego state, she can practice the child rearing techniques she learned by reading parenting books. But from her child ego state, she goes back and plays the tapes from her own childhood as the basis for rearing her child. And I don't know if you noticed, but you have parents that say, well, I raised you better than that. So the child isn't going off the parental tape, usually from some deficiency of, the map not being the territory from the child ego state. He or she wants to obey the parent ego state tapes, but just can't because the child dominates. And of course, the adult ego state doesn't come into the equation. The mother may go back to a positive childhood where she experienced closeness with her mother and reflect that warmth onto the child. Or the mother might have been stroke deprived as a child and still longing for her own mother's affection begin to resent the child that is stealing attention away from her, from other people. Stewart and Joines state here that in script language the mother is giving her baby permissions. Permission to exist and permission to be close. That is in a nurturing parent type of situation. Of course, this is nonverbal permission which the infant recognizes and uses to form its script. Any negative messages that the infant comes to understand form what is known as injunctions. An injunction is a form of command that the infant picks up on from nonverbal cues. Some examples of injunctions are don't be close, don't exist, keep quiet, etc. The problem for us as adults is that we carry some of this script behavior around and act on it because it is never questioned, since we learned it from nonverbal cues, so we don't really think about it. It was formed in childhood and is the operating system behind our programming. You can't socially do what you were not permitted as a child, and you can't figure out why. You may be carrying around the commands or injunctions that put you on a track to where you don't want to go, but can't figure out how to change the lanes, or even have the permission from the parental ego state to do what you need to do. This has been an introduction to the script matrix in transactional analysis. In upcoming videos, we will explore each element of the script matrix in much more detail so that we can begin to rewrite the scripts holding us back.